Hey Al, this is just a short video here today that I wanted to show you about checking your heart rate and how to do that and what you're actually doing while you're checking your heart rate in order to stay within a good fitness zone to be able to do different things as far as fitness is concerned. So today we're specifically going to talk about how to check our fitness zone when we're trying to get a good aerobic exercise in. So with that said, the first thing that we have to do is we have to figure out how to check our resting heart rate. And I guess there's probably one good time during the day that's probably the best time to check your resting heart rate. And the best time to check your resting heart rate is right away when you wake up in the morning. So as soon as you get out of bed, before you even stand up, you roll, put your feet on the floor, you sit up, and you check your pulse. And that's typically the time when your body is the most rested, assuming that you didn't just wake up from an exciting dream or something like that. Typically, you're the most rested when you get out of bed or first wake up. So what you need to do is take your index finger and your middle finger and find your Adam's apple. And then just slide just about 1.5 inches or so from your Adam's apple, and then push in on your carotid artery. And if you are there, you should feel your pulse. Push in just a little bit. You don't have to choke yourself, but push in just a little bit. And I can feel mine. I'm not dead. Okay. But what you're feeling is you're waiting to feel the pulse that's in there. So the best way to check this, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can either count how many beats that you feel in 30 seconds and multiply it by 2, which takes a little bit longer, or you can count how many beats that you feel in 15 seconds and multiply it by 4, which is probably the best way to do it. Or if you don't have as much time, then you could count how many beats you feel in 6 seconds and put a 0 after it. So if I felt six beats in 6 seconds, I'd put a 0 after. That would be 60 beats. Okay. Best way that I would suggest to be the most accurate, where you're not taking the most time, would be to count for 15 seconds. Count how many beats you feel in 15 seconds. So you get a stopwatch or look at a watch. And then however many beats you feel multiplied by 4. So I'm going to just quick take a resting heart rate just by sitting here. It's probably not the most accurate, but I'll do that here. And you can do it at the same time that I'm doing it. Tell you when to start. Go. Okay, stop. I felt 14 beats in 15 seconds. So I'm going to take 14 times 4. And my heart rate is right around 56 beats per minute. So this is just not a very accurate resting heart rate, but close. And I'll just put it right here, even though it's not first thing in the morning. 56 beats per minute. Okay. That being said, there is a way to try and get kind of close to a resting heart rate as you possibly can. If you've been moving around a little bit, you're a little bit worked up, your heart rate is a little bit higher, you could control your breathing a little bit. So one of the things that you can do to get as close to that true resting heart rate would be, like I said, control your breathing. And you can see that next little section down here that I said, for anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds, you're going to breathe in and then breathe out for 3 to 5 seconds. So we'll just do a little bit of it here for a second. We'll just take a deep breath. Now that's just a couple of examples of inhale and exhale for 3 to 5 seconds. Inhale, 3 to 5 seconds. Exhale. Typically, in order to get to a good resting heart rate where you're controlling that breathing, you want to do that anywhere from about 5 to 8 minutes. So you want to get into a comfortable position, whether you're laying down, whether you're sitting up with your head back, close the eyes, and just control the breathing for 5 to 8 minutes. You know, doing an inhale for 3 to 5 seconds and exhale for 3 to 5 seconds. That gets you pretty close to a resting heart rate. Okay, the next section we're going to talk about is how to use a formula to check our target heart rate zone for aerobic activity. So the first thing that we need to do is take a look at the formula that I've got right here. So the first thing you need to figure out is your maximum heart rate. That either called max heart rate or they call it your ceiling heart rate. The number 220 is what we always use, but in order to figure out what your ceiling is, you take the number 220 and you subtract your age from it. So let's just take kind of maybe an average age in this classroom, which would be about 16. So I would take the number 220 and I would subtract 16 from it. And I'm going to get 204. That's 204 beats per minute is the ceiling. And what ceiling means is whenever you exercise, you don't want to, in order to stay safe, you don't want to exceed 204 beats per minute. It gets to be stressful for long periods of time. You can see it for a short period of time, but if you're going to be doing any kind of aerobic exercise for 35 to 45 seconds, you don't want to exceed that 204 beats per minute for very long. You want to be underneath that, okay? So there's two other areas of this that you want to figure out. So that's your max heart rate. That's your ceiling, 204 beats per minute, which means you don't want to exceed that, okay? But if you want to stay within a good aerobic range, they call that the target heart rate zone for aerobic physical activity, okay? And what you want to do is you want to stay anywhere between 60% and 80% of this number. You want to stay between those two numbers for 35 to 45 minutes straight. Okay, you want to keep your heart rate at that. That's going to get you at a very good aerobic exercise. So in order to figure that out, we got to figure out what the low end of that target heart rate zone is. So I'm going to take the number 200, which is our max heart rate. Okay, I'm going to take, 204, which is what was our max heart rate was. And then I'm going to multiply that by 60% or by 0.60. Okay, and that's going to be right around 122 beats per minute, 123 beats per minute. Okay, so that's the low end. But we want to stay a little bit higher than that. So if you go down below 123 beats per minute, you're not exercising hard enough. Okay, but if you are going to take and try to figure out the high end, then you're going to go 220 times, minus my age. Okay, 220 minus my age, which would be, now for me it's different, but for you, if I were using the average age 16, 204 beats per minute times 0.80, which is timesing it by 80%. Now the high end is going to be about 163 beats per minute. So we really want to stay within a range of 123 beats and 163 beats per minute. This range right here, in order for us to stay at a good exercise, a good safe exercise rate, we want to be between 123 beats per minute and 163 beats per minute. And that's going to keep us at a good, safe range. Now that's what I mean stay there. That means you want to consistently keep your heart rate between this range for 35 to 45 minutes. That's how you're getting yourself a good aerobic exercise. If you start to exceed this for 45 minutes, you're getting a really, really good exercise in. If you're dropping below this for 35 to 45 minutes, literally you probably doing some pretty moderate physical activity. If you are going for a walk or you're just strolling on a hike through the woods, you're probably right around this range. But if you're going for a jog or you're bicycling at a decent rate, you're probably going to be right around this range. If you are doing some excessive training, like high intensity, you're probably a little bit above this. Okay, so some people that are doing high intensity workouts are likely not doing them for 35 to 45 minutes. So that's the whole aerobic exercise and training part of it, is you want to consistently be able to stay within a range for a long period of time, and that's how you're working on that endurance factor. Okay, so that was just a good little exercise on how to check your target heart rate as well as your resting heart rate, and try to find that fitness zone that is safe for somebody to exercise at when they're trying to accomplish a good aerobic exercise. So that falls into some of the sections that we're talking about in chapter 12.3. Okay.